This is going to be the first in a series of interviews that we do, a lot with local makers, people that made furniture, art, pottery stuff in our places. But we're starting off our first with Adam Erace and Art in the Age, who have just put out a new cocktail book that we love. We're putting it in all of our rooms. I'm going to show you guys some of the images of this while I'm talking, giving you the intro before I introduce Adam. So Art in the Age, we met, years ago, I guess, but we partnered with them on our very first project in Old City. They were literally across the street, down the block, a couple doors. And they were super welcoming to us, as was everyone on the street, and they ended up doing custom cocktail lists in our rooms. And we've done some little collaborations with them throughout. And Adam, who I'll introduce and join for the interview soon, we've gotten to know. I did an article on us a couple of years ago. He's down here at the shore where we live now. So we've gotten to know Adam a little bit. He's hopped up here to tell more about himself in his intro. So he likes to travel a lot. He's writing on food and travel. And now he's co-authored this book, which we'll talk about. Let me show a couple new photos. So if you guys are familiar with Art in the Age, this is their kind of iconic storefront. Here's another shot of it. And then here's the inside of their store. So they've changed up the store quite a bit over the years, but now it's got a bar in the back, actually, that you can go to, but it's full of cocktail making goodness. And we use them every project we start. We stock our bar with products from them. So enough of me chatting about that. I see people joining. Please use the questions. I am going to invite Adam right now, and we will get started. Thanks for joining us, Adam. I've got my copy here. I friggin' loved it. I went through it last week. I think it's a great book. And I have plenty of cocktail books, so I'm no stranger to this format. But why don't you get started and give us a little bit more of your background. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, that would be great. So my name is Adam Erace, or Erace, however you like to say it. I answer to all versions. I'm a food writer, travel writer, born and raised in South Philly, and have been working in this field for, since 2005, 2006. So I've done a lot of different things in the food and travel space. Restaurant critic for many years at the Courier Post in New Jersey, Philly Weekly, City Paper, New Jersey Monthly Magazine. I was Fortune Magazine's national restaurant critic for about 2 years, right up until COVID hit. Written a couple cookbooks with chefs like Nick Elmy of Laurel and Joey Baldino of Polizzi. I've authored both books. The Cocktail Workshop is my first book that I've worked in the cocktail space, although I was a bartender for a really, really long time. When I first started writing, right out of college, I was bartending and, having a great time, making great money. And I thought, well, I like freelance writing. I don't have to be in an office, and I like bartending. So let me give it a year and see if I can make that work. And
nice.
I was able to underwrite my freelance writing career when I was and
where were you bartending at?
So I bartended all over the place. I bartended in a catering hall in Center City for a long time, and then I worked down the shore at the Greenhouse in Margate briefly. They fired me. Worked down in Wildwood at a place called Second Street Annie's, which is Keenan's now, and at Benny the Bums, which is before the live casino was where it is on Packer Avenue. It was a Holiday Inn, and there was a restaurant there called Benny the Bums, and I worked there for 3 years. That's where I met my wife, and slung a lot of milk. Worked there for the World Series. Good time. So it's cool because this book kind of brings my kind of bartending past in with my food writing present.
Right. Yeah, well, like I said, I love the book. I was expecting something much more niche and focused, but you guys just dove in and did everything, how to set up your bar, go through the spirits, all the tools. But I love the format of how you kind of cover classic cocktails and then did little riffs on them, getting more and more complicated. And I feel like that's the way I think about cocktails a lot. Is like, all right, if I'm giving somebody a new cocktail, I'm like, this is kind of like a version of an old fashioned with whatever. So I thought that was like a super natural way to do it. And obviously the photography and the writing was great. So it really like, I like some of the cocktail books I have are just like, it's just too many words, right? And some of them are just all pictures and no substance. So like, I thought it was a super like great balance of it. Highly.
That was definitely our approach, like to not be so niche and so expert. It's like you can kind of go two ways. You can do something like super niche and expert, or something that's like very broad and high level and basic.
Right.
And neither are super useful. I don't think so.
Right.
And wherever you are as a home bartender, if you're kind of know the basics but want to grow your expertise, this is a good book. If you know nothing, this is a good book. And if you know quite a bit, this is a good book too. So everybody from this book and help build their repertoire.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Well, why don't you give us a little more background on how you met Steve and the team at like Art and the Age, and then like how you guys came up with this idea and decided to take a stab at it.
Yeah, well, I met Steve. I mean, I've known of Steve because he's a legend in the industry for a long time. So I've known of him for a really long time, but I've never met him in person. We were connected. We have the same literary agent. So my agent who represented me on the Polizzi and Laurel books is also Steve's agent and represented him on other projects. So she put us together when he was looking to do a new book. So we like met once, hit it off, and nailed this concept really, really quick. The base kind of elevator pitch of the book is 20 classic cocktails, what make them tick, how to master them, and then how to grow your knowledge and your confidence by learning how to modify and make your own products. And that kind of helps you up the ladder of complexity. So we hit on that really, really quickly. And then everything just kind of fell into place in terms of the formatting. We started with a huge list of classic cocktails. We have 20 to start, but I mean, there's so many classic cocktails and like ones that like just pain me to have to leave out.
Right.
That's for volume 2, maybe. So nice. We had to land on 20, and then we have 3 versions of each beyond the classic. And then we have the workshop for each cocktail as well.
Yeah, I love the workshop. I'm aging Negronis already in my basement. Solera aging, I guess it's called. I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah. So I'm excited. I think I have 27 more days to go before I can taste the first batch. But
okay. Yeah, and it's it'll it's going to keep changing as you you continue it off into Xfinity. Your kids can carry it on for.
I don't know if we'll make it that far, but I'll certainly give it a try.
Yeah, Steve is kind of like a jack of all trades, marketing wizard, and founder of Quaker City Mercantile, which is the marketing agency, and then Art and the Age is the physical store on 3rd Street across from the local hotel, and the bar and retail shop. So those are kind of 2 connected enterprises, and then he also has Tamworth Distilling up in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And they produce a whole range of whiskeys and gins and all sorts of beautiful products. So those are his kind of 3 things that he does, and they're all kind of interrelated in the spirits and liquor world. But he's the guy who did the branding for like Hendrick's Gin,
right?
1998 or whatever. Narragansett. Like he's worked with some famous brands and helped kind of propel them into the significant cultural things that they are. Sailor Jerry is another big example. They do lo-fi vermouths, lots of great products.
Nice. Yeah, and like I was saying, we love the Art and Age brand. They're all about supporting small local businesses, which we love to do too. They're doing collabs with people all the time. But I love even that they've got products from. Like we've got a mixing glass or mixing jar, I guess I should say, at the A-frame from a South Philly artist that's amazing, and I love it. So yeah, definitely like-minded brands.
Well, we've talked about this before in terms of hospitality, hotels. These little details, really make a difference, I think, to people and help stitch, a place that you're maybe coming to as a visitor. It helps stitch you more in a more real way into the place, when you use products and being able to connect to where you are on a more deeper level. Yeah,
for sure. Well, and the other thing I love about the format is like it to me, it makes a great gift for people because it doesn't matter if they're a novice or they're in the middle or they're an expert and you don't know. Like if you give them this book, they're going to love it. You know, like this guy's into cocktails, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
It's great for a beginner. And even if they're like super expert, like, not that I'm an expert, but I'm loving all the workshop stuff and probably waste a lot of time this winter on it for sure.
Yeah. I love also that it's like, in terms of the giftiness of it, you know, it's not like, oh, I'm a bourbon drinker, so I need to get a bourbon book, or I'm a gin drinker, so let me get this person a gin book. Like, you can be all those types of drinkers and find something in this book.
Agreed. Totally. Agreed. All right. So tell us more about how you came up with specialty cocktails and like what the process was. Like, were there a lot of nights of you guys after hours in the Art and Age bar, like just testing stuff, getting, you know, tipsy, or what was the process? Was it fun, or was it all during COVID and it was weird and you were testing cocktails remotely?
Yeah, it's a great question. So to answer one question quick, it was like, yes, we were like drinking lots of cocktails and getting tipsy, except that it was happening from like 8 a.m. to noon. And not just like roll out of bed, go to Art and the Age, and just like drink so much that I needed like a loaf of bread to stick in my mouth by the time I left. But
Oh, nice.
So originally when we started, it was, I believe, in December of 2019. So it was right before COVID. We kind of met a bunch of times, nailed down the concept. And when we started to test, that was, I believe, in January. So it was right at the start of COVID as a overseas thing, at least in our consciousness. And then very quickly, I think we got maybe 2 or 3 testing sessions in. I think we did like the martini category and the Manhattan chapter.
Yeah.
And COVID, everything shut down. You know, I was in Mexico for like 2 weeks in like the first week of March. And it was like I left the US normal. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm like flying back, like mask on the plane, the whole deal. So the world obviously changed. And what our process had to change, which is really hard because when you're testing cocktails like this, you know, you're constantly tinkering and adjusting. Like, you know, a 1/4 ounce of lemon juice makes a difference. A 1/4 ounce of syrup makes a difference. So we're constantly have to be physically on site, you know, evaluating these cocktails. So we shut that down. Primarily the testing was myself and Lee Noble, who is Art and the Age's kind of master mixologist. He's awesome. So the way shifted into it during COVID was Lee was testing off-site, and then we were exchanging emails about like what we thought base recipes could be, like how they might work, concepted out in our heads, and then Lee would test them on his own. And then once COVID kind of started to wind down the first time, and things seemed to be a little bit safer, and it seemed safe enough to meet with masks and things like that, we got back into the bar, and we started making the cocktails together and then adjusting them like on the fly right there.
Right.
That process, you know, took quite a few months, but it happened at the end, as opposed to normally we would, you know, write a little bit, test a little bit, write a bit, test a bit. It was all the writing up front in terms of the recipes, and then, you know, all in a short period of time, and then going back and editing. So that's how that came together for the recipes. And then for the head note writing, that was, you know, while Lee was independently creating cocktails, I was independently doing the research into the history of a lot of these cocktails and penning those head notes that you see on top of each recipe. Nice.
Well, you did a great job. The writing's brilliant, and it's just the right length, in my opinion, too. Like, it gives you the history of the cocktail. You get some, you know, quips in there, and I don't know. It was the perfect length.
Thank you.
In my opinion.
Thank you.
And I assume that you guys were using the agency for the photography and whatnot.
Yeah,
they did a great job as well.
They did, yeah. Daniela is our photographer for Art and the Age, and then Kevin Flagler was the third. So at the very end of the process, you know, Daniela, Ken, myself, and Lee were all together in studio, kind of building these cocktails and these scenes. So it's really great to have a partner like Art and the Age, like Quaker City Mercantile for this book, because everything can just be produced, you know, in a very seamless and coherent way. Cohesive. So that process took, I think we maybe shot over 4 days, pretty much the whole book. So
wow. That's impressive.
long days, but a lot of fun. And we did that last November, I believe, of 2020 was when we did the photo shoot.
Nice.
Fun.
Yeah, it looks great for sure. And
Yeah.
give us like one or two of your personal favorite cocktails, and then maybe one of the advanced things that you've, one of the workshop level things that you've actually personally done at home that you enjoy.
I'm a big Manhattan drinker. That's like probably my kind of go-to baseline drink. So one of the riffs that I really love on the Manhattan is the breakfast Manhattan.
Nice.
So it's coffee vermouth, it's orange marmalade, and what I think is most, that makes it super delicious and gives it like a little bit of a breakfasty vibe. But what I love about it is that it's in the reverse proportions. So when we reverse a cocktail, it's basically lowering the overall proof. So whereas a normal Manhattan is, mostly whiskey and less vermouth, you flip it. So it's more vermouth, less whiskey, you wind up with a lower proof cocktail. As somebody who loves to drink Manhattans and would be happy to drink 5 of them, but would fall down otherwise, and you just stop to shit for the rest of the day. When you have a drink that you can reverse, like a Manhattan, a martini, it's a nice way to take that, what is a very strong all booze cocktail, and just kind of bring it down a little bit so you can kind of extend your drinking. So I love that cocktail. That's the breakfast Manhattan reversed in the Manhattan chapter. Another one that I really love is I'm on like, I was talking to a bartender about this yesterday. I'm on like a one-man mission to bring the grasshopper cocktail back.
I noticed you guys devoted a number. Yeah.
Great cocktail, man. I love it so much. And, it's maligned, this, like this like super sweet, desserty, creamy, rich, neon 1970s thing. And I mean, it is that, but it's really easy to make a beautiful homemade, not homemade, but a beautiful kind of dialed back, restrained version that really captures kind of the freshness of mint and gives you a little bit of chocolate. And we do that in the Virgil's Grasshopper. That is the kind of the first riff off the Grasshopper Classic. That we use the Tempest Fugit liqueurs. They're cocoa, they're creme de cocoa, and they're creme de menthe. Those tend to be a little bit more bitter forward, a little bit more complex, not quite like this super sweet mint kind of a vibe. So take those 2 liqueurs, fresh muddled peppermint and spearmint, and a little bit of cream, and it just produces like the most beautiful expression of chocolate and mint, but something that really feels like a proper cocktail and not just like a dessert drink. So that's in the Grasshopper chapter. So those are 2 of my absolute favorites in the book. Favorites of many. I really like a lot of the cocktails.
Right, I'm sure.
Yeah,
as well. Yeah, I would love to try out the Grasshopper. It's definitely high on my list, but my wife hates chocolate, so I'm not sure she'll love it. I like usually make cocktails in 2s here at home, but
what are some of the things that you made from the book that you were working with this week?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I probably focus mostly on like the bourbon, chapters for sure, and the tequila. That's what we drink a lot at home. I did like, what was the one I said that substitutes? It's basically, you guys came up with a couple of ingredients that almost tasted like a substitute for the Mexican Coke. What was that drink?
Oh, it's the Batanga. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was surprising. Like, I actually just gave away, I had a Mexican Coke in my fridge, and I finally, like, my kids are like, "You're not drinking the Mexican Coke." I'm like, "It's for when I want to make a cocktail with it." I finally gave in and let them drink it. So I couldn't do like a test, side by side, but I was like, this is impressive how they, came with these 3 ingredients, this mixture, and it mimics that flavor, but it did, wasn't too sweet. I'm definitely not a big, sweet cocktail kind of guy. So that was probably the most impressive. I don't know. We tried like 5 in one night, probably all throughout the book, and that was a little rough. But
you love tequila. I love the in the margarita chapter, the Amaro Rita, which has Nonino Amaro in it, and Añejo tequila is really awesome. A little bit of orange juice, and then another favorite of mine is the 80 proof and Sunny.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, I saw that. That looks good.
That's this guy right here, all the way on the end. Right there. And that's one of cocktails that he had made before, and it's like a margarita with cantaloupe juice and saffron in it as well. It has this really, really nice saffron salt rim. Super delicious and refreshing. I would like to have that by the local Cape May pool. Amazing.
Yeah, that sounds great for sure. Yeah, we almost built a bar back there. I mean, we don't have a liquor license or anything, but we almost made it a do-it-yourself bar. We actually did. We had it delivered and blah, blah. And I was like, this is a bad idea. Let's not do this.
Good idea, right?
Awesome. All right, on to barware. What is maybe one of your favorite like barware items or something that's like weird or obscure that you have at your bar that you find yourself using a lot that, maybe somebody wouldn't normally think about?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you don't have barware at home, like you don't need a lot of it. The easiest thing to use is, if you have a jigger and if you have a mixing glass, like you can really make a lot of cocktails just with those two things and a good bar spoon. Something I actually use like a lot, way more than you would think, is just like Pyrex liquid measuring cup. We actually, our photo has a Pyrex in it, and that was just like an actual thing. And I was like, this is so perfect because when I'm often making cocktails, it's often, maybe it's just not one for me. Maybe I'm making two at a time, or I'm batching them a little bit for a party. So, when we think of building cocktails, it's always with like the by the ounce, but I'm often just making cocktails like by the cup as well. So like batching them. So that is like an indispensable thing for me, is just my 2-cup glass Pyrex. I use that all the time.
Nice.
The most like significant thing for me for my bar at home is my glassware, because aside from like my wine glasses, all my glassware is from my grandparents. So, they're all passed, and the only thing that I wanted from their houses was their glassware.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I have their coupes, I have their double old-fashioned glasses that have big black block E's on them, which is cool. Nice. I remember being as a kid at my grandparents' house, they had these right on this little table in their dining room was like their set of decanters, and like they weren't big drinkers at all, but like back in the day, it was like that was just like the thing you had, right? So you have these beautiful like cut crystal Waterford decanters with like the old-fashioned liquor tags that say like sherry and brandy. And I remember being a kid, like I was fascinated by them. So I would go up to them and like pull like the stoppers out, and it would make like the chalky scratch noise because the glass on glass. And I would smell them and be like, this smells horrible. But like every time I went there, I would go do it. I would open them up and smell them, and I thought they were the coolest thing. So now they're in my house. So that's awesome. A significant thing that I have barware-wise are my glass from them and the decanters.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've got the little mini Pyrex. It's probably the 5-ouncer or something, and like I don't even use the jiggers anymore because, well, at least for the last year or two, I'm just making 2 cocktails at a time. All right, we're pretty much we're almost wrapping up here. I think I only got 1 or 2 more questions for you. So besides the book, if you were going to like Art in the Age gift shopping for somebody right now, I got to plug Art in the Age a little bit here. Like, what would be some gifts you would recommend for either a novice or expert?
So I would say if you're looking for barware and you're a novice and you're just trying to build out your bar, I would get just a mixing glass and a bar spoon. Get that. I would shop for some bitters as well, because they can really change the profile of your drinks. Like, even if you're like, I only know how to make a Manhattan. Okay. If you had, a bunch of different kind of bitters, you can make a Manhattan that tastes a little bit different, by only really knowing one recipe. We want you to know a lot of recipes, but if you're just starting out and you want to change a profile, that's a really easy way to do it. Yeah. They have an incredible selection of bitters. I mean, everything from like, God, I can't even think, like mole style, bitters to, orange bitters, everything that you can imagine they have. What I really love there is their spirits and liquor selection. In particular, they have this amazing Pomo, they call it, that's produced up at Tamworth in New Hampshire, obviously big apple producing state. So it's like an aged apple brandy that's blended with apple cider, and it is just the most freaking delicious thing. It's a beautiful bottle, really gifty. And I just drink it on ice by itself, like a little splash of soda. You can make like a little spritz with it with some sparkling wine, and it is absolutely killer. I really
nice. Awesome. Love it. All right, man. I think that's about it. Why don't you tell us where people can find, what you're doing, online, whatever, what you're up to next, whatever you want to say to close us out.
So yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Adam Erace, ADAMERACE. I'm on Twitter as well under the same name. Like to buy Art in the Age and my book, The Cocktail Workshop. You can get it wherever fine books are sold, including local booksellers like Art in the Age. They have plenty in stock. Herman's on Moy Mensing, Occasionette in Jersey and on Passyunk, as well as Open House on 13th Street, River Ward's up in Fishtown. Many other booksellers have it. You can also get it on the place that begins with the big A. And if you do, please leave a nice review because that does matter. Yeah, so go out and buy it. It's a great gift. And thanks, Chad.
Awesome, man. Thanks for doing this, Adam. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're watching now, if you're watching later, we'll be doing more of this. If you're one of our local makers and you want to do this next, shout out to us. We'll start doing these again in January in the new year. But Adam, thanks for kicking off this series with us and giving us the time. And thanks for the book, for sure.
Love you guys. I love what you do at the hotels. And hope to see you down the shore soon.
Thanks, man. These are in Cape May now. They'll be in all of our Philly locations next week. So, yeah.